Meta just launched AI that now it's asking for all of your health data, and as a result, it's giving just really bad advice, and I recommend not using it. So we'll talk about that today. Meta's Muse Spark model offers to analyze users' health data, including your lab results. So beyond the obvious privacy risk, it's not a capable stand-in for a real doctor. And one of the things I've realized here now that it's getting warm out, gonna have to deal with mosquitoes, so that's gonna be fun. Meta's Superintelligence Labs launched its first generative AI model, and it's currently available through the Meta AI app, but the company plans to integrate Muse Spark through all of its channels like WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, and so this is coming in the coming weeks. Meta claims that Muse Spark was designed in part to be better at answering questions people have about their health. Okay, so that sounds interesting. The company even worked with over 1,000 physicians to curate training data that enables more factual responses and more comprehensive responses. That's according to their announcement through their blog. So there's an article that I was reading about. So the person in here tested Muse Spark to see how it would respond to health-related questions. And so they asked how it could help this person. The bot listed off a few basic uses like building a workout routine or generating questions to ask my doctor. It sounds pretty basic, so far so good. But a direct request for my health data stood out. So this is where it starts getting on a slippery slope. It says, paste your numbers from a fitness tracker, glucose monitor, or a lab report. I'll calculate trends, flag patterns, and visualize them. So this is according to the output that the AI gave. For an example, here are my last 10 blood pressure readings. Is there a pattern? So now we're starting to really give more specific health-related information that we wouldn't just give to anyone, especially over the internet, because again, this is connected to the mothership there at Facebook headquarters. So OpenAI's ChatGPT and Anthropic's Claude both also have these types of chatbot modes designed specifically for helping users understand things about their health and to just make some decisions on it. Claude says connect it to your Apple or Android health data with just a flip of a toggle switch. Claude says it uses that information as part of its answers. So Google also lets you upload medical data to Fitbit for its AI health coach. So a lot of these are already incorporated with, your Apple Watch, your Fitbit, Google monitoring devices, any type of watches that you have. But handing over this kind of data to any type of AI tool is a really risky decision. It's something that you really need to think through before you do it. So even if users are able to generate personalized advice, usage of these models can be really tricky, says Monica Agrawal, an assistant professor at Duke University and co-founder of Layer Health. So this is an AI platform for hospitals that they use to examine medical charts. So they'll go through with their doctor, and it's an AI to help the doctor to more quickly read these charts and get information that's useful to them. So the more information you give it, the more context it has about you, and potentially it can provide better responses. But on the flip side, major privacy concerns. So you're giving all of your health data to the cloud, sharing your health data without any protections. And so Agrawal is concerned about users uploading sensitive data to chatbots since they are commonly not using anything regarding HIPAA. If you don't know what HIPAA is, that's basically the how people safeguard their health data with any type of industry, doctors, insurance companies, things like that. So only you can share who you want to have access to your health information. So AI tools are not compliant with HIPAA protections. This is not something that they have that capability. So the landmark US law that guards this information is not something that they are forced to use at this point. Layer Health is HIPAA compliant, and it's a high standard of privacy that people are using to experience during doctor visits. So again, this is something I'm not come across this yet, but a lot of doctors are using this tool to help them with just going through the tons of data, trying to figure out the best course of action. the information someone shares with a bot is much more loosely regulated, even if it's their clinical lab result. So if you remember back in 2023, the 23andMe company had a huge breach. And I used to say for a long time, you're dumb. I apologize if this is offensive, but you're dumb if you're sharing your DNA data with some company, because these companies, something's going to happen. Your information is going to get out. And that's exactly what happened in October 2023. There was a breach that exposed the genetic and personal data of approximately 6.9 million users through a credential attack that occurred between April and October. It was only about 14,000 accounts. That was less than 1.1% of users that exploited the DNA. They exploited the DNA relatives feature to scrape data from 5.5 million additional users and family tree profiles from another 1.5 million users. So they got into a certain number of users and then scraped all the information to collect millions more. And the exposed information included ancestry results, ethnicity estimates, health predisposition reports, raw genotype data, family tree connections, names, birth years, and locations. And you're like, okay, that doesn't sound like a big deal. It was sold on the dark web for anywhere from $1 to $10 per profile. So that's valuable data to somebody if they're selling it there on the dark web. So anything you store in a chat with Meta AI may be used and stored to train future AI models. If you're using Gemini or Copilot or any of these that come built into your browser, read through the privacy of some of these companies as to what they do with that. I use Brave browser to use AI. They have one called Leo. They're much stronger in their privacy policy. Again, I don't think I'll put anything super personal in there because, again, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen 5 years from now? You know, they sell the company and all of a sudden, you know, their privacy policy changes and now they can use all that stored data. So never trust a company with your personal information. We keep training data for as long as we need it on a case-by-case basis to ensure an AI model is operating appropriately, safely, and efficiently. So this is what Meta says in their privacy policy. So this is what it says today. And if you are subscribed to all kinds of sites or programs, how often do you get an email? We've updated our terms. And so, you know, nobody ever reads the updated terms. Nobody knows what's going on. Companies do it all the time where their privacy policy, their terms and conditions, you know, they might be favorable today, but 2 years, 5 years, you know, maybe 6 months from now, they might change it. They might get bought and the new companies takes precedent over the old privacy policy that you agreed to. So they say, Meta says they keep training data on a case-by-case basis to and appropriately safe and efficient. Do you believe that? Do you really believe they're just using it for training? I just don't. Medical experts I spoke with balked at the idea of uploading their own health data for an AI model like Muse Spark. These chatbots now allow you to connect your own biometric data, put in your own lab information, and honestly, that makes me pretty nervous, says Gauri Agrawal, a doctor of medicine and associate professor at the University of Miami. So this is someone in the industry, and they're like, if it were me, I wouldn't do it, because again, they see the backside that most people don't. They see how data is used, how data is stored, what people have access to this currently, and now you're giving it to an AI bot that who knows where that's being stored, who knows how quick that information can be shared with others. I certainly wouldn't connect my own health information to a service that I'm not fully able to control, understand what that information is being stored or how it's being utilized. That's good advice. If you're not sure, don't put yourself in a position where you regret sharing too much information. Now you're trying to pull it back and you can't. That's bad. Again, the 23andMe people who shared all their DNA information, I'm not sure if you know if your own information was leaked or if you're just, you know, up in the weeds, not knowing for sure. I'm not sure if they reached out to those personally affected, but I would be suspect to believe that if I had shared my data, something's out there. So, they may have shared what was breached, but I think there's probably more that was probably picked up there. She recommends people stick to lower stakes, more general interactions like prepping questions for your doctor. So if you have questions about, maybe an illness, maybe ask AI, hey, I'm thinking about talking to my doctor about this. What are some questions I should ask about? So that would be probably a better use of this AI. It can be tempting to rely on AI-assisted help for interpreting health, especially with the skyrocketing costs of medical, and then also the availability of doctors. You try to make an appointment. Yeah, we'll see you in a month. Here in the U.S., I always hear other countries have multiple weeks before you can get in to see specialists or a doctor. Sometimes that's the case here. I try to see my own doctor for, just my annual checkup. And a lot of times I'm having to go see the PA because, the doctor's booked out for a couple months. And so that's something where, some people, they'd rather not wait. They want the information now. Here's all my information. I'm sure it's as good as the doctor. You'll be forgiven for going online and delegating what used to be a powerful, important personal relationship between a doctor and a patient to a robot, says Kenneth Goodman, founder of the University of Miami's Institute for Bioethics and Health Policy. But he says, I think running into that without due diligence is dangerous. So he's saying, I get why people do it. And, maybe you just don't understand the risks, but it's dangerous and you probably shouldn't do it. He says before he considers using any of these tools, Goodman wants to see research proving that they are beneficial for your health, not just better at answering health questions than some competitor chatbot. So that due diligence is definitely important. Is it HIPAA regulated? Is it going to give you accurate information? There's so many times I have templates, I have my AI chatbot run, and every time I run it, it forgets to do something. So I have to say, hey, you forgot this. Oh, you're absolutely right. Here's the information I was supposed to give in the first place. So this person in the article, and I'll link it in the description below, when I asked Meta AI for more information about how it would interpret my health information if I provided any, chatbot said it was not trying to replace my physician. The outputs were from educational purposes. Think of me as a med school professor, not your doctor, says Meta AI. That's still kind of bogus. I think a lot of times AI can make you hear what you want to hear. What do you think? What are your thoughts about using AI to help with your medical diagnosis if you're not feeling good? Do you use it for this type of purpose? Are there concerns that maybe I hadn't even talked about that you have with these type of platforms for medical information? Definitely let me know what you think in the comments. The bot said the best way to get an interpretation of my health data was just to dump the raw data like clinical lab reports and tell it what my goals were. Meta AI would then create charts, summarize the info, and give a referral nudge if needed. Other chats I conducted with Meta, the bot prompted me to strip personal details before uploading lab results, but these caveats were not present in every test conversation. That's a good idea, is you could be more general about it and maybe keep your own information out, but then you're having to go through everything to strip out your personal information. And it might not be easy enough to do it if you're pulling it from, say, an app on your phone or on your watch. And so it might not be possible or might not be very easy. People have long used the internet to ask health questions, a Meta spokesman told Wired. With Meta and Meta AI Muse Spark, people are in control of what information to share, and our terms make clear they should only share what they're comfortable with. Oh, yeah, of course. Like that's the same with a Google search. Google's tracking everything that you do. So any Google search, you're going to be probably pretty careful about what you share in there. So this is the same thing. The only problem is AI is more engaging and more of a thought process, and who knows what it's sharing with other AI chatbots. We talked before about some of these AI chatbots are on, I can't even think of the name of it, but it's its own social site where they talk to each other. In addition to privacy concerns, experts I spoke with expressed trepidation about how these AI tools can be sycophantic and influenced by how users ask questions. A model might take the information that's provided more as a given without questioning the assumptions that the patient inherently made when using the question. We talked about this before, where AI just isn't mean to you. It's just going to go along with whatever you say. Oh, you're absolutely right. Oh, you're 100% correct. Oh, it was my mistake. It's going to just kind of downplay anything, and whatever answer you're looking for, it'll probably give you the answer you're digging into if you're asking questions the right way. And so that's a concern, because you might not get the right answer. The article says, when I asked how to lose weight and nudged the bot towards extreme answers, Meta AI helped in ways that could be catastrophic for someone with anorexia. So this is a good example. So as I asked about the benefits of intermittent fasting, which a lot of people do, keto, trying to lose weight, intermittent fasting, it's good for your health to kind of help detox and of course, lose weight. So I told Meta that I wanted to fast 5 days every week. Despite flagging that this was not for most people and putting me at risk for eating disorders, Meta AI crafted a meal plan for me where I could only eat around 500 calories most days, which would leave me malnourished. So yeah, if one of the key points that you're putting into the AI is that you're 80 pounds and struggling with anorexia and have an eating disorder, and you start trying to get information about how to fast 5 days a week, and it puts this meal plan together for you, that is very dangerous. Chatting with a bot can feel like an intimate, personal affair, even when it isn't. Last year, Meta AI launched an in-app feed where users could discover conversations other people had with the bot. So this is a little scary. Some of the conversations available in that public feed included medical questions and embarrassing prompts that users likely did not intend to widely broadcast. So Meta's saying, oh, your information is safe, but then they launched a feed where other people could read what people were plugging in. That's insane. So they're already kind of sharing information that people have shared with the AI bot, and these people didn't want this widely broadcast. I always say, if you're going to use something like this, type in to the chat bot what you would gladly stand out on a street corner and scream at the top of your lungs to the people going by. You don't want that information to be in the hands of someone else that has total control over it, and you have no say as to where or how it'll be shared in the future. Agarwal said, people should avoid being lulled into a false sense of confidence about how their data is being collected and what will be done with their sensitive information. I guarantee you, if you use some of these AI chat bots to plug in all your health data, there are some of you that are going to be very, very sad in a short amount of time. We all say an oath at medical school when we put on our white coats that those conversations are sacrosanct. She said, these bots aren't taking those oaths. And that's another thing right there. They're not looking out for your best interests like a doctor would. They're not protecting your anonymity when you talk with them and keeping that between them. They're not HIPAA compliant, so they're not bound by HIPAA to keep your data safe. And I think it's just a powder keg where a lot of people will have information about themselves shared at some point, whether through a breach or privacy changes, or like Meta, an in-app feed where users could discover conversations other people had. That's nuts. Now it might be anonymous, but even if it is, who knows if some of the information and the questions in there might not be able to be linked to somebody, depending on how much information is shared. One of the things at the end of the article says, last Friday, Meta says it does not use health data for ads. What do you think about that? I find that hard to believe, because if I start talking about, man, we need to buy a new couch to my wife, what's going to start showing up in my feed later that evening when I'm going through? Haverty Furniture, Rooms to Go, all the big name brands. They're going to start showing ads in my feed about couches, because that's what Facebook does. That's what Meta does. They collect your information And I still don't understand how to disable that. I've looked and tried, but do you really believe that they're not going to use your health data for ads? You don't think that they're going to start saying, this person has diabetes. Let's have them start seeing ads for glucose monitors, or whatever. And I just don't believe it. I don't believe that they will not use this data and start showing you ads. So, and they might not be using it for ads now, but again, they can change the terms of service anytime. You'll probably get an email or a message in your messenger. Oh yeah, we've updated our terms. Nobody reads that. Nobody goes through the page by page of legalese. Anything that they can use, they will use to make more money from you, ads or who knows what else. So don't upload your data to these AI chatbots. Just don't do it. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. This will help to get this out to more people, and share with others. Let me know in the comments what you think about this topic as well. Thanks so much for watching. If you don't want to wait for my next video, I'll put one up here on the side over here. As always, I'll see you in the next one.